this channel on his TV all day long. And so that's why, you know, I'm vocal on a lot of like different policies and like the zoning laws and like things like that. Because I used to sit there watching this stuff.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. We're super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit the red subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 50K. And we cannot get there without you guys. All right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
I was born and grew up in Denmark. And you know, these are countries where the government spends taxes and spends approximately twice the level of the United States. And while I am very sympathetic to many of your spending proposals, especially on the things you mentioned on early childhood and single payer and the like, I also know that these are countries that heavily tax everybody, not just the rich people. Middle classes, they have consumption taxes on everything of 20%. So while I'm very sympathetic to what you say, my sense is still that you would like to spend as a Scandinavian, but not tax as one. Is that correct?
We have, the answer is, and you raised some very good points.
Comparing the US with Europe and countries in Europe would be naive, oversimplistic, and offend a bunch of people. Land masses are complex. But I'm going to go ahead and compare them anyways, because some of the comparisons between Europe and the US remain way too superficial.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
It's not uncommon to obsess over the usual suspects for why the US is less equal than Europe and also has less good quality, affordable social programs. The analysis is simple. The US has more billionaires and taxes them less. Europe has less billionaires but taxes them more. Need a larger tax base to fund popular social programs and also less inequality. Just raise the taxes on the rich, like the Europeans do. Now, although the tax rates for rich people explain some part of the difference, it doesn't explain enough. Europeans can afford good social programs because a lot of Europeans pay a lot for them, mainly through indirect taxes. And Europeans are also more equal before taxes even factored in because a lot of the social programs they pay more for also reduce pre-tax inequality. Where Americans deal with a sales tax at their final point of sale, Europeans deal with a VAT, which is a consumption tax that taxes at multiple steps across entire supply chains. This means that a lot of things in Europe will be more expensive, but that public money can be redistributed towards social programs that will reduce before tax inequality even more. But the US has, so far, been unable to adopt the same. Why? Well, in part because taxing the wealthiest of society is easier to advertise and justify than taxing everybody a lot more. In Europe, most people don't really need to be convinced about paying for their welfare states because it works sufficiently for most of them. But in the US, there's an intimate struggle with deciding whether pre-distribution will be a state, local, or federal solution.
Been struggling for a long time.
In the US, the federal government gets the most media attention, while state and local governments can avoid scrutiny. This means that minimum wage hikes in the US are practically always seen as a responsibility for the federal government, which has to delicately balance different costs of living, like laborers living in New York City and miners living in West Virginia. In Europe, though, a country like France or Denmark can opt for different geographically sensitive policy while also being held more directly into account because the assignment of responsibility is clearer to its citizens.
There's this definition of a wicked problem, which is circulating around in the literature, which suggests that a wicked problem is wicked if it has so many dimensions to it that you can't go at one angle to the problem and try to fix it. And I think school finance is like that. So school districts get money from their local communities in the form of property taxes. They'll also get money from the state, and the state might give them money through multiple formulas. And then a portion, a much smaller portion, about 9 or 10%, comes from the federal government. So even if you tried to solve the problem at, say, the state level, there are these other funding sources that come with their own restrictions, which ultimately affect how the money gets used in schools.
In Connecticut, a U.S. state, a school in Bridgeport will be poorer by virtue of being surrounded by poor properties, while a school in Greenwich will be richer because it is surrounded by richer properties. This is because local taxes are largely funded by property values in the area. However, this concept fails to explain everything. Educational disparities also...
Hold on, okay. So before we go into that, so we have been, we talk a lot about our life, a lot about our background, where we come from, and to where we are now. We were project kids, so we went to the poorer schools, which had, for example, in New Orleans, the property tax, it wasn't much property tax because, we lived in government housing, and of course they had, properties around it. But and then I lived in a historic neighborhood, so the property tax was a little good. So my school, during the time I went there, was not so good. But after Katrina, the property tax changed. They tore all of the government housing down. So, and they built homes there. Yeah. So it went up. So, the school got rebuilt. It looks nicer. And so now where we live, we live in a way better neighborhood than what I lived in. And so you get to see the differences of school. The school I went to, we didn't have all of these different programs. We had a lot of welfare type programs, school lunches, not really school lunches, but like the community coming in to provide lunches for, children who may have been going home with nothing to eat. And now in our children's school, we're seeing that there's so much that they're given freely because I don't want to say the school is rich, but the school district can invest more into the school.
As she was saying, it's being more invested from, like, they have 99% of federal that's going into certain schools because of their location and who they're neighbored with. Right. They're not down the street from rich neighborhoods. They're down the street from more middle-class neighborhoods. Exactly. But in some of the school districts, they are down the street from rich neighborhoods. Like we seen earlier, they needed a freaking 18-wooder to haul the school band equipment for a football game. Yes. Meanwhile, you have U-Hauls.
Yeah, we have got to rent a U-Haul for the school band.
You know what I'm saying? Something real small and simple. So even like you were saying with the lunches, I don't even know if they still do that, where they come out and help the kids from the community and stuff. But I know they do book sale drives. Yeah. You have your rich neighborhoods where they don't have to
do that. I remember this school year, our school district sent out an email about a school drive, and then they emphasized that this isn't for everyone. This is for, families who may be dealing with low income, something. Low income. So it's like our school district, although, they have access to more than other school districts, they do offer that for, families who may be, dealing with some hardship. So not, but just the fact that us experiencing little to nothing and now the best of the best. Like, remember, for 2 years, we didn't even have to purchase school supplies because the school districts provided it.
That's why people ask, like, where the money is going. This is one of the best times to invest the money that is, going into the schools back into the students. And I'm going to go with it. It's just like church. Like, when you invest your money into the church, you give it, in a sense, back to the congregation. Right. Because the people and the buildings and stuff and the lights and everything, because that's where, the attention is actually going to. Like, if your money is going into something, the students will need better desks. Right. They will need better playground equipment. Bus drivers need to get paid more. They need better buses. And, what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Yes. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, a lot of people don't know where this money is going. Right. They put it in there and they be like, so what changed in the next 5 years? Right.
And it's just so sad because, in the school districts who have access to all of these different incentives, like, they getting the best of the best when the struggling schools need what they get so freely. Like I just said, the 2 years we didn't have to provide school supplies. The other school districts probably didn't have that option. Right. And so there's parents who had to, although we were still going through a pandemic in the thick of the pandemic, they had to, struggle to provide for their children. And it's just, it's sad. It's sad.
I don't know. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you good.
I'm eager to know how Europe does the schooling.
Definitely, but I don't know if this is even off the topic, but I do think that it's all about competition.
Competition?
Yeah, certain schools want to be that school.
Yeah.
They want to have, because whoever have the best students with the best grades and the best colleges connecting to that school, they're going to get funded more money. Mm-hmm. And if your school isn't providing that type of education where the students are, thriving, then they're going to pay little to no attention.
Right, and there's even some schools where if the child's grade point average drops, they kick the child out of school.
So I think it's all about
to save their funding.
This funding, yes. So I think it's about competition at some point.
Yeah.
And they wasn't competing, a lot of these schools can really, we just need a master class.
Yes.
Forget the school. We just need a master class.
It's sad because the children are the ones that's suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Exist across Europe and within its countries. The U.S. is not unique for having a system that predisposes poor children to poor resources.
Wow.
Education systems are complex. Finland is not the same as Sweden. And resources...
Oh, man, and I'm going to make this comment because you guys, some of y'all really grind my gears when y'all make these comments. Y'all be like, oh, because sometimes our conversations be so fire.
Yeah.
Like, our commentary be right on the nail. Y'all come back though and be like, y'all must have watched the video already. Ain't no way y'all hitting it that, like, y'all hitting too close to home with the video and y'all comments are, it's just too direct. And I'm like, no, like, we literally get the links from you guys, the videos that you guys requested to us, and we watch it third and we really pay attention because this is what we love to do. Right. And our commentaries just be that authentic that it literally hit home for some of the viewers and be like, yeah.
And it's the first time genuine reaction.
Yeah, real talk. So I just want to make that comment because it just popped in like that.
And the quality that follows does not seem like a linear relationship. The U.S.'s unique situation is that its quality does not match the amount that the U.S. actually spends on it. One of the problems with answering why resources don't match the quality you would expect in the U.S. is because the decentralized nature of school districts makes it pretty difficult to actually identify what spending works and what doesn't. Overall, there are some indications that, compared with Europe, the amount of staffing, the associated health and retirement benefits, alongside transportation, all add up to more cost for the American education system. But the differences don't end there.
In the 1990s, as the crime rate was plummeting, as American life was getting safer and safer, Americans freaked out and thought that if they take their eyes off their children, the children will be abducted. Now this goes back, the fear was stoked by cable TV in the 1980s. There were a few high-profile abductions. But it's not until the 1990s that we really start locking kids up and saying, you cannot be outside until you're 14 or 15. We took this essential period of childhood from about 8 to 12, when kids throughout history have practiced independence, have gotten into adventures, have made rafts and floated down the Mississippi River.
I'm sorry, I just don't think, like, I don't know, I just feel like we're backwards sometimes. Like, you don't, like, if you're going to correct something, don't correct the innocent for something that is happening to them.
Right.
So if the kids have to all of a sudden lose out on childhood because of the crime or something that's going on, fix this problem. You know what I'm saying? Fix the crime.
Fix the problem.
Boost up whatever it is you need to boost up to make sure everything is cleared and handled.
Right. Hunt the bad guys like y'all hunt everybody else.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
We took that period and said, you don't get to practice independence until it's too late. Until that period is over.
Kids in the U.S.
Okay, let's comment on that because y'all know we love children.
Yeah, don't mess with them babies now.
So let's comment on that. He said the 1990s is when we started locking the children up until they're 14. Y'all know how we feel. Yeah, we're still outside. Y'all know how we feel about generalizations. Again, although that is true, because again, we talked about this before, we can't just allow, a 3-year-old, like in Japan or I forgot where it was. We can't allow a 3-year-old to go run errands for us. The cops gonna come, lock us up, give us all these types of charges. I think that all boils down to.
I'm sorry, but he gonna be like, I saw your kid wandering around the block. Is this your child? What you mean? He's okay. He had permission to go down the block.
Right.
Yeah, he was just in the wrong neighborhood. No, ain't no such thing. It's just
y'all. You're gonna report it.
Yeah, it's not. And
you're gonna find yourself fighting for custody of your child.
Right.
So that comment is like very complex. Maybe one day we'll like react to like a history of why that is now. one day.
Yeah, I just think don't try to control everything, like, because when you control everything, you stunt its growth. You can't control the seed from growing, because even if you don't water it, nature is going to control that for you and have it do what it need to do. So if your child has, I'm not saying to let them do it as they please, but when you have people that's looking down on the whole community and saying this is the age group that we're going to allow to do certain things, and we're going to stop this age group until they hit a certain age, and it's like you taking control from them, and everything is limited at that point. You know what I'm saying?
And please know, although there are laws in place, you know, some laws concerning children are good, especially when you're dealing with parents who don't really know how to be parents. You know, parents who maybe shouldn't be parents. So those laws are good for those people, but at the same time, no two parents are alike. I remember you know, having a conversation with one of our supporters, and they were like, no, in my country or my city, I don't remember, they all raise their children alike.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
like,
it's not like that in America at all. Not even two neighbors raise their children alike. Not even two family members raise their children alike. So, you know, we all have our own different sets of rules, morals, and values for our own families. So.
Say that.
And kids in Europe. Some blame the planning that produced more isolated American families, some the over-paranoia towards kidnapping in the 1980s, and others point to an increasingly competitive environment where parents try to give their children an edge over the others by helicoptering them. It's really not that far a stretch to say that many European children could be considered to have more freedom at an earlier age. American children are less likely to be able to walk to school alone compared with European children, which you can of course connect to overall crime rates, and authoritative school policy is still much more accepted across the U.S. than it is in Europe.
Corporal punishment.
So, the real key to the distinctiveness of America is the structure of our government. One part of it, of course, is the independence of the judiciary. But there's a lot more. There are very few countries in the world, for example, that have a bicameral legislature. Oh, England has a House of Lords for the time being, but House of Lords has
My daddy keeps this channel on his TV all day long, and so that's why, you know, I'm vocal on a lot of like different policies and like the zoning laws and like things like that, because I used to sit there watching this stuff. So him just sitting there, I know he's about to go in.
Yeah, boy. Hey, they be picking them apart on that too.
substantial power. They can just make the Commons pass a bill a second time. France has a Senate, it's honorific. Italy has a Senate, it's honorific. Very few countries have two separate bodies in the legislature equally powerful. That's a lot of trouble, as you gentlemen doubtless know, to get the same language through two different bodies elected in a different fashion. Very few countries in the world have a separately elected chief executive. Sometimes I go to Europe to talk about separation of powers. And when I get there, I find that all I'm talking about is independence of the judiciary. Because the Europeans don't even try to divide the two political powers, the two political branches, the legislature and the chief executive. In all of the parliamentary countries, the chief executive is the creature of the legislature. There's never any disagreement between them and the prime minister, as there is sometimes between you and the president. When there's a disagreement, they just kick them out. They have a no confidence vote, a new election, and they get a prime minister who agrees with the legislature. And, the Europeans...
The difference is simple. European countries are mainly nations, not federations. A European state, if it existed, could never be the same as the U.S. Written in their constitution, U.S. states are modeled after the federal government, and state governments, which mirror the one above, usually have their own chamber of representatives, a senate, and also have an executive mirrored after their president. In Europe, if there was any state that was above the countries that made it up, it would have to be modeled from those very different countries beneath it, rather than serving as a model for the countries below it. This is an important difference because it means that any kind of European government would have to balance parliamentary systems with presidential republics, federal states with unitary ones, and they'll be expected to create a system that hopefully pleases each one sufficiently. All in all, although the differences between the two are practically endless and somewhere near impossible to actually describe, it's still a worthwhile effort to try and figure a few out and also discuss them. In some way, Europe has more breathing room to understand what it wants to be, which is no easy task, because whatever you think Europe is, it can still look across the Atlantic and realize what it definitely is not.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff you left out.
Yes, this was actually a good video.
Yeah, I like this one.
It was a good video. It was. I love the school topic. I wish I would have learned how like Europe's school system works. Yeah, that's really all I have to say.
I think that overall, too much control can hurt. You know what I'm saying? The country.
Mm-hmm. Oh! Keep going.
Keep going. You like
Yes,
that?
keep going.
Okay. That's all I got. I'm a quickie.
I like how when he said that, like, if the prime minister, and for us it would be our president, doesn't agree with the legislator,
yeah,
or the Constitution,
do you know what? He must be from
have a new election.
He must be from Louisiana. Get the boot. For real.
Have a new election.
Nah, I think that's what it is, though. Like,
yes.
when you have someone that's vocal on that and they say things that don't agree with the lineup, you know what I'm saying? Then you have an eyeball in that group. I mean, not saying that person may be vocally wrong. You know what I'm saying? Not entirely. He may have some stuff, or she may have some stuff that she's saying that's, you know, that's valid. And they may nitpick from that and try to use that to, you know, create a better base or whatever it is they're trying to build. But if that person is strictly just against and he's doing you know, like, yo, doing too much. You gotta go. We want to do this again tomorrow, you guys.
Right.
Bring in somebody
because
new.
I mean, the Constitution is there for the people.
For the people.
We the people. Ain't that's what the preamble
that's what it's supposed to be said, right? That's what I thought it said.
We the people.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's what, you know, the preamble begins with, we the people. In order to form a more perfect union.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the rest. But if we the people and all of this stuff, why don't we receive a lot of social programs as other countries? Like I don't get
you know,
that.
There's a generation that's growing right now that's looking around and out their window and they're wanting to do the job of the system.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go out there and start building things for their community because the system isn't coming back for the people to help out the people with the money that they taking from the people, which is taxes, anything, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's just...
we need to give back to the people.
They need to get back to the people at the end of it.
No way things like Skid Row should exist. Y'all know how we feel about the homeless. Y'all know, like, it's dear to our heart. No way, you know, we should have people locked up for life just because of something that, you know, they chose to, I gotta choose my words carefully. Something that they chose to inhale. Not inhale, no, that's something totally different. Something that they chose to smoke. I could say smoke, right?
Yeah.
Something that didn't cause them to act in a dangerous way.
That's just,
you know,
crazy.
Something that calmed their nerves down, something that, you know, helped them with their eating disorder. You know, no reason that people
their
like
vision.
that. Exactly. Their vision.
It has benefits.
Cancer.
It's from the earth.
Right.
it does what it do. Like an apple a day, keep the doctor away, but you don't see people going to jail for not eating one.
Right. No reason those people should be going to jail for 20, 30 years off of things like that. And they didn't harm anybody.
Right.
They didn't, you know.
I know that
nothing.
I know that there's things in this life that is really in position to truly benefit people. And if it's in the hands of people that is really supposed to benefit, then they're going to have something set up in line that's going to be like, hey, you know what? I don't want you with this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like from Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? Like, you in a garden, you got everything that you ever wanted in life, and then God like, you know, I can't get you to eat from that. Don't eat from that tree. Mm-hmm. And then when you finally eat from it, you can see, and you be like, whoa, this is real. whoa, and then all of a sudden you be like, yo, I need y'all. Because you're going to start messing stuff up now. You're gonna start trying to do things that I didn't put in place for you to start doing yet.
Right.
I ain't trying to preach now. Right. But I'm just saying, like, in reality, like, when you have things that's set up for you and it's supposed to be for you and you get to indulge in it and anything really that's beneficial.
So, again, there's a lot of good things about America, but there's a lot of questionable things as well. You know? And we're always going to be transparent with you guys and share our experiences. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super things as well as our join feature.
Check it out.
If you would like to support the channel in that way and become a VIP member. And our mailing address is in the description box below. We'll see you soon. Peace.